Welcome to Be Well. I'm Lisa Bergoff, pharmacist, yoga teacher, and health coach. Each week, we'll explore simple, science-informed ways for us to move better, feel more resilient, and feel more at home in our bodies. From breath work and strength training to sleep, hormones, and healthy habits, we're here to help you age well and truly thrive, one small step at a time. This is Be Well. Hi, it's Lisa Bergoff from Zen & Now. Welcome to Be Well. Today I am here with my friend Caitlin Lodato, and she is a fabulous yoga teacher. She also has her master's in behavioral therapy. Psychological counseling. She's going to explain more about that. She does a lot with trauma-informed yoga, and she teaches some trauma-informed yoga at the studio as well as teacher trainings for other yoga teachers. And she's going to share a little bit of her experience of how she came to yoga and how she's used yoga and mindfulness for different ways to just keep herself calm and well and to manage anxiety. And so it's just such a beautiful tool, and she's able to help herself and so many other people. So welcome. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is Caitlin Lodato, and can you just explain a little bit about how you decided to do the studies that you went through? I know you have 2 master's degrees, and you've done some work with some group counseling and
Yes.
and bringing their movement into your helping other people.
Yeah. I initially started with yoga when I was 17, 18 years old. I borrowed my mom's VHS tapes and would do yoga, and then I started going to a studio, and my teacher started helping me focus more on breathing, and it was the first time I really felt calm. I didn't realize how anxious I'd been up until that point, but I've struggled with anxiety my whole life. So when I started going to yoga and focusing on the breath and meditation and motion, I started to feel calmer. So I became passionate about yoga. I've done it ever since. After college, I started doing more in the fitness world, personal training, and I got a certificate to teach yoga in the gym. And then I decided to go to get my master's in psychological counseling, mainly because I'd struggled with anxiety myself, and I thought I would like to help other people with that, with trauma, with anxiety. So I got my master's, but while I was doing that, I was still working in fitness because it was such a flexible job, so I could do that while I was in school.
And it's so great that you're able to continue to move your body, because so many people go to school or graduate school and they stop taking care of themselves. They don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't move their bodies, they don't breathe.
Yes.
And so you were able to kind of overlap that and utilize that.
Yeah, it was great that it was part of my job, so I could go to the gym and teach yoga and do yoga while I was in school. So that was great, and a great way to integrate both. After I got my master's, I started working in the field. I worked in an eating disorder residential program and then a psychiatric hospital. Wow. So I worked with teenagers in both, mainly teenagers and young adults.
Were they male and female, or mostly female?
Mostly in the eating disorder program, it was mostly female. Okay. I would say all female, because I think the residential program didn't. Yeah. And then the psychiatric hospital was a co-ed adolescent unit.
Oh, wow.
So that was challenging, but also very informative for me, and it really taught me a lot about psychological health and different types of psychiatric disorders. So,
and you told me you started to incorporate some of the movement modalities into your counseling.
Yes, in the eating disorder clinic, I taught them yoga.
That's wonderful.
And at the time, I knew about trauma, and I had the education, but I didn't realize I was teaching them trauma-informed yoga, because I was giving them agency and autonomy to do what they needed to do during the practice. And at the end, during the final relaxation, I would give them the option to journal or meditate instead of having to lay on the floor, which is part of trauma-informed yoga, because you don't want to put people in a situation where they feel vulnerable if they don't feel comfortable laying on their back on the floor. That might be something they don't feel comfortable doing. So I would do that during my teaching in the eating disorder program. And then, in my in the psychiatric hospital, it was a little more difficult to do group sessions, but I would do meditation with them, breathing, when I met with them one-on-one. So and it really helped. Grounding techniques, 4 square breath, where you count for 4 in and 4 out. And things where they could like rub a blanket or like, ground themselves.
Get into like the physical and the, the earth and grounding.
Right, put your feet on the floor.
By literally getting into their touch sensation.
Yes, things like that. Yeah. So I've always used what I knew about yoga in every aspect of my life. And then I went and actually got certified to teach yoga. And so when my kids were young, I stopped working at the psychiatric hospital. I went back to fitness. I began doing stroller strides, which is like the exercise with the strollers. And I did that for years while they were little. And then I started teaching yoga. I got my yoga teaching certificate, my 200 hour, then my 300 right after. And I've been teaching at Ed.M for 10 years. So
I love it. And
then I just recently got my trauma-informed yoga certificate, and I ran a teacher training on that recently. So it's all coming together. All my training is finally kind of coming together. I mean, it always was there, but
I just love how you overlap everything, and I don't know that you intentionally did any of that, but I feel like your kids were smaller, they were in strollers, you wanted to keep moving, so you were able to facilitate that and help other moms. And that's such a great community thing too.
It was.
Not just the breathing, not just the movement, but also being in community, which is such a great component of mental health. And whether it's big T trauma, and we can talk more about trauma and trauma-informed yoga in a minute, but whether it's big T trauma or little T trauma, like we all have things, you know, and moving things through our body, moving emotions through the body, and just moving your body makes you feel better.
Yes.
And knowing you're not alone. So when you're out with other moms, you feel like, oh my God, this is so hard. I've got 2 little kids and I'm not moving my body and I don't feel the same. And just having fun and being outside. That's
it was great. Yeah, and we would always end up hanging out after, going to the playground, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But trauma is an anxiety. If you think about anxiety, like, you feel it in your stomach, you hunch your shoulders. There's all these things you do physically when you're anxious that you don't even realize.
Or you don't even take a deep breath.
Yeah, I always say some people never take a deep breath, and they come to yoga and it's maybe the first time they've really even thought about that.
Yeah, or even been asked to.
Right.
And I know when I thought I knew how to breathe, and I exercised a lot, and I thought I was a good breather, and they would say, take a deep breath, and I go, I'm here. And that's so stressful. It's like actually anxiety provoking. Yeah. And it took a long time to learn to belly breathe.
Yeah.
And I thought I was coordinated, and I wasn't until I figured it out. And now I know it, and it's like one of the best tools out there.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I remember someone telling me that when you inhale, your belly's supposed to go out. And I was like, what? Like, I'm so
in
used to...
our culture, we hold our bellies in.
I never even connected that. So yes, I think for sure you hold anxiety, even trauma. Like a lot of times people, when they experience a trauma, they leave mentally.
Right.
So the trauma exists in their body, and it stays in their body. And part of helping people with trauma is getting that mind-body connection back.
Right.
Being able to, feel how you're feeling in your body and connect it back to your brain.
Right.
So.
And put it in the storage components of your brain where it's not an active trigger.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit, let's talk a little bit about the trauma-informed yoga teacher training you just did. So we just hosted, and we've hosted yoga teacher trainings at Zen Now in the past, and Caitlin has been an integral part of that. We've always offered a trauma-informed yoga training, even as part of our beginner 200-hour training. So we always gave that above and beyond. And I really feel like it's really important because people come to yoga for so many reasons. And it could be a physical trauma, an emotional trauma. It could be, again, big T, little t trauma. And people come with, or grief, or whatever it is. We all come for our own reasons. And so having instructors that really understand anatomy, to understand the body, and understand how to approach somebody. And if it looks like somebody's uncomfortable in a pose or is struggling or fidgeting. Shavasana, you were mentioning the end of the yoga practice where we lie at the end, and it's a really great part of the practice. It's like an opportunity for the body to really absorb and digest.
Yeah.
And I always say that's where the magic happens. That's where your body gets to digest, and that's where you grow, that's where you heal. Like, we build muscle when we rest. We don't build muscle while we're pumping iron, right? So, but it can be really hard for people to just be there and be still. And so I love how you introduce different ways to allow people to be in the moment, in their bodies, using breath or guided meditations.
Yeah.
So, so Caitlin recently taught we had to change the name because it kept sounding so confusing. Trauma-informed training for yoga teachers. Yeah. And so she's instructed several local area teachers more on trauma-informed yoga. And we're also hosting a class, and it's called, what do we call it?
We're calling it Ground and Restore.
Ground and Restore.
And it's a trauma-informed yoga. And Yoga Nidra, which is guided relaxation, basically. Yes. And there's so many studies done that Yoga Nidra is equivalent of 45 minutes is equivalent of 4 hours deep sleep.
Yeah, 4 to 6 hours, I read.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be it's a supplement. It's not meant to be a replacement for sleep.
No, right.
So
right.
you don't do that every
night.
Don't
just do Yoga Nidra.
It's a great supplement.
Yes, but it's so helpful for people with anxiety, trauma, any of that, because it's really beneficial. It's a systematic guided relaxation that's been studied, and people have proven that it's beneficial. So I'm going to do a gentle yoga flow at this workshop, and then we'll do a long Yoga Nidra where people can get as comfortable as they want and rest. And we'll do a body scan and visualization. And
it's so great.
Yeah.
It's so great. And even if you're not actively feeling anxious, I always love taking your classes. I really always love taking, especially when we do the stress and relaxation one around the holidays.
Yes,
That's always a big one. It's just a nice reset, and it can be, like, you hit a lot of traffic today, or Mercury's in retrograde, or whatever it is, right? Yeah. And just feeling a little frazzled, and coming in and just having that calming presence, the safe container, the safe space, and knowing that you can do different shapes, different variations on a posture. And I love how you offer that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just for that workshop, which I've done many times. We usually do it, like you said, during the holidays when people are feeling stressed. Even people who aren't normally anxious might be feeling anxious during that time.
It's busy.
It's busy. There's way more to do. There's a lot of pressure. Yeah. People have to spend time with family members they don't normally see, that they may not necessarily want to spend time with, or it's stressful for them, brings up old things. So I just offer during that workshop, honestly, what works for me. So we do yoga, which I obviously love, meditation, which I do every day, and I start them with a very short meditation so that they can see that it's not so scary. I think meditation can be scary for people. Restorative poses, which are poses where you're propped up with props. You're not supposed to have any effort. You're supposed to be completely at rest. And then a Yoga Nidra at the end. Yeah. And
so
these are all things that I like.
Yeah. It really is a nervous system reset. So we were talking about this episode. We want to talk about from anxiety to agency, giving people tools so that they can pull from the toolbox when they're relatively calm, and so that when you are anxious, you're not like scrambling to figure out, what did she say to do? So these are practices that you can do daily, and they're simple. So short little practices that you can incorporate into your day, and using them as a nervous system reset or nervous system medicine. I love to say movement is medicine, right?
Yes, yeah. Yes, like I said, I want it to be easy for people to be able to figure out what works for them, do it quickly if they need to. So 5-minute meditation, a breathing exercise that works for them. I try to throw out a few different breathing exercises during my workshops too, so that people can see which one works best. Because some people, we'll do alternate nostril breathing, we'll do 4 square. Some people like one more than the other. Yeah. Or it's just easier for them to do in a moment of, because if you're in a stressful moment or a moment of panic, you're not going to be able to really think clearly about what you want to do. So I just try to give people tons of options, and then we'll go from there.
Right.
And yeah, like I said, it's all things that have helped me. I think meditation is one of the most helpful things for mindfulness and being present. But it's, like I said, people find it really challenging and scary sometimes. I think the goal is not to stop thinking, but that's what people think it is.
Totally. Yeah.
So
I know people say that. They say,
yeah.
I'm going to come start taking yoga once I silence my mind. And I'm like, oh, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. Because movement is medicine. And if you
Right.
can move and be in the moment and be in your breath, that's actually a moving meditation.
Yes.
And that, for me, I had to do that before I could learn to sit for
me too.
meditation.
Yeah.
And you just said even a 5-minute meditation, but even in your workshops, you'll start with 30 seconds or a
Yeah.
minute.
Yes. Yeah.
And you show people, like, you can do that.
Yeah.
And you give them tools. If your mind starts to wander, these are some things to come back to.
Yeah.
And then you build up to 5 minutes. And then you build up. Because that's how you started. You've shared that story before.
I started with a minute. And I learned during my teacher training from our teacher who taught meditation that you don't have to stop thinking, which was a huge wake-up call for me.
Yeah.
I thought, because what happens for a lot of people, I think, is you sit there and you start to think, and then you're like judging yourself.
Totally.
Or
I
like,
am the worst
I can't believe I can't do this. And then you give up because it feels like you failed.
Yes.
So instead of stopping thinking, she told us to label our thoughts as they come in,
Yeah.
and then try to let that go. And then it'll probably come back, and then you say, that's a thought.
Yeah.
And just being able to observe your thoughts and be aware of them has been really helpful for me in the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And just a point about yoga, yoga was traditionally done, the asana, the practice of poses that we call yoga,
Right.
was traditionally done to prepare you to sit for meditation. So it would make sense that people gravitate toward that first and are able to meditate after being able to do
Right.
that.
Yeah, because being able to sit in a cross-legged position, like a traditional
Right.
yogi that you see in a meditation position, that cross-legged position, sitting upright, that takes core strength.
Yeah.
And so, actually, if you look back at the
And
history
hip
of
mobility,
yoga,
yeah.
right? If you look back at the history of yoga, the physical practice of yoga
Yeah.
came much later. So we don't really know the exact dates or anything, right?
Yeah.
But there's 8 limbs of yoga, and only 2 of them have anything to do with our body. One is the asana, the physical practice, and the second is breath work or
Yeah.
pranayama. So the rest of it has nothing to do with our physical body, and it's able to prepare us for meditation. And I love
Yeah.
to say this too, because like when we're in a yoga practice and some people will push, we talked about that a lot in the last few days. People have been saying, I'm really pushing myself. And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let's ease it back just a little and challenge yourself, staying in your comfort zone. So your
Right.
nervous system isn't being, like your sympathetic nervous system isn't being overreactive.
Activated, yeah.
And you're staying in your comfort zone, and you're letting your comfort zone get bigger, right? You're still challenging yourself. And then, and being with that, and breathing into it and getting, more comfortable.
Yes.
And then you can do more. And then you're not going to harm yourself. And so I always say, like, one of the things, the first limb is the yamas, and the niyamas are the second limb. The first branch on the first limb is ahimsa, or non-harming,
Right.
loving kindness and compassion, starting with
Yeah.
yourself. And if you do that in your practice, and you're not harming yourself, you're not stealing from your future self. Like, there's just so many
Yes.
benefits. It
Yeah.
just keeps rolling out. And it's easier to be kind and compassionate to other people.
Yes.
So learning that, and my understanding, the way I learned meditation also was meditation is for the cessation of suffering. And so if you're suffering sitting in your meditation, you're kind of counterproductive,
Yes,
right? To
yes,
your meditation.
yes.
So
Yeah.
I love how you teach us that. Like, okay, let's get comfortable in this seat. And if it's
Yeah.
not comfortable to sit cross-legged, you can do other things.
Yes.
You say you can sit against the wall, you can lie down, you can
Yeah, especially
prop
when
yourself
I
up.
teach the trauma informed. But I mean, if sitting is going to be the reason you don't do it, then find another position.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
You can lay down. You can sit in a chair. You don't have to sit
Right.
on the floor.
Right.
You don't have to sit cross-legged. Because I think doing it, actually meditating and getting a practice of meditation, ideally daily, but maybe weekly or monthly.
But you have to start somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. Is going to help people more than anything else. But yeah, it's getting there. It's doing yoga, maybe learning how to breathe during yoga, because like you said, it can be a moving meditation. You move with the breath.
Right.
And then maybe trying a minute of meditation or a guided meditation.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people find it difficult to sit in silence, and there's tons of guided meditations you can get, Spotify, anywhere. But
or a body scan.
Or
I
a
mean, that's
body
a form of
scan.
a guided meditation, but I love that because it gets you out of the head and into your physical body.
Yeah.
And especially if you get like into your toes, you're as far away from your head.
Yes. Yeah, if you could sit with your feet planted on the floor, that's grounding. You can really start to feel connected. So yeah, I think a body scan is great, or counting, or if you have a mantra you want to use, like a word that maybe doesn't mean anything that you can just keep repeating so that it doesn't bring up other things.
I have a friend, she's so cute. She used to say Ejawima, and which I laugh because my brother went to preschool at the school named Ejawima. It was in Waterford. I don't even know if it's still open. But she goes, I just like to say it. It doesn't mean anything at all to me.
Yeah.
And she goes, I just say it. And so you're
Yeah,
right.
because it's not connected to
anything.
Yeah, it's
so
probably
no
better.
Emotional attachment to that word.
It's not connected to anything else. It's not going to make you think about other things or what you have to do later or any of that. So yeah, I think a word like that could be very helpful.
Right.
But yeah, all
like
of these things.
Right? Like people,
Yes.
but we don't have to say. It doesn't have to be anything traditional. You get to personalize it and make it your own, what works for you.
Yes.
And what I will try to remind people is to try to keep it positive and present tense.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to make a statement, like an I am statement. I am here is really very powerful. Like I am here in this body, I am here in this moment.
Yeah.
So if you can't think of anything else, just
That's a great
I
one.
am.
Yeah,
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think those are all great. So yeah, I think meditation is key, but if you need to get there by doing it slowly and gradually, that's great.
Or walking meditation.
Or walking, yeah. I remember doing that in our teacher training, and it was one of the first times I really did a meditation of any kind. And just following your footsteps and focusing on your breath, that can be really helpful. So yes, walking,
really
moving,
helpful.
yoga, yeah.
I think a walk meditation is so interesting too, especially if it's a contemplative walk, like if you're doing a quiet walk in nature. And I love to walk fast and walk with my friends and talk, but every once in a while I really like to go a little bit slower. And you can do a fast contemplative walk too if you really want to walk faster, but observing what's around you.
Yeah,
what I always like to do is I tell people, look for hearts in nature. And you can pick any shape, right?
Yeah.
But look for a heart-shaped rock, look for a heart-shaped leaf. And it's amazing how many you find.
Yeah.
And they might have been there all along. Or look for a different shape, or look for a different color.
Yes.
Yeah,
because a lot of us like put our headphones on or whatever, and we kind of tune out.
And you're not hearing the birds, and you're not hearing the rustling of the leaves, and your foot strikes. Yeah.
So meditation, walking meditation is great, and getting outside in general, I think I know it's so hard this time of year, and I think we can all feel it. But I've really tried recently to get out, even if I have to put on
9 layers.
75 layers and get out there.
We do hot yoga.
I don't like the cold. But I realized if I don't do it, I feel like more anxious, more, you get in your head, you just, so it's great to be outside, get that oxygen, breathe.
And the real sunlight. And that's actually.
And real sunlight,
And that's science. That's not even just woo-woo.
No, totally.
Your eyes need real sunlight, and that signals to your brain to make more serotonin.
Yes.
Or to turn the serotonin off and make more melatonin when it gets darker. So even just for a good sleep. For good sleep hygiene.
Yeah.
And so meditating, whether it's morning, noon, night, you could do different forms of meditation. Can you share, because you have a pretty great routine, can you share a little bit about your daily routine?
Yeah. So I try to exercise in some way every day, whether it's yoga. Today I did yoga at the studio with Kiki. We love Kiki.
We do.
And then I meditate every single day, usually for 15 minutes, if possible. Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, depending. And I try to just fit it in however long I need to for 5 minutes if I have to, but just so that I get it in.
Yep.
I journal every day as well. And I actually have this journal right now it's I think a year of mindfulness or something, but it's every day as a prompt.
I love that.
Because for me, I need a
That's so
prompt.
helpful to have a prompt.
I have to have a prompt to journal. Otherwise, I kind of can spiral a little bit, I think.
Yeah. Or I write the same thing, like today it's cloudy out, and I ate this, and I did that. Yeah.
And then you get
but
bored
it
with
doesn't matter. You're still reflecting.
Yeah. So it's a cool, it's a cool
it's the
little
actual thing of actually sitting down and doing it.
Yes.
Like they say, if you want to be a writer, you have to write every day.
Every day,
right?
yeah.
Doesn't matter how much you write, but you have to actually write every day if you want to be a writer.
Yeah, it's like using the muscle,
Exactly.
flexing the muscle.
Yeah.
So those are the things I generally do in the morning to try to keep myself calm and ready for the day. I usually also do a breathing I do an alternate nostril breath before I meditate, which is a grounding breath that you use your fingers to breathe through one nostril then the other. It's supposed to also help focus you and align the two sides of your brain.
I know, it can help rewire the left and right.
Yeah.
The creative and the logical side. I did it in an episode a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay. So
but
people know.
I'm going to have you guide us through that in just a moment. Okay. Oh, I don't know if they did it, but we talked about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do that every day, and then so those are the things I do in the morning to try to keep myself. And my exercise could be yoga, it could be a walk. I try to get outside like a few times a week.
Yeah.
I
like to say I move my body every day.
Yeah.
And I put no parameters on that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like strenuous exercise. I have been trying to do more weight training because I'm in my 40s and that's what we're supposed to do. So I'm doing that too. But so I try to do whatever I can get in the morning of those things for however long. Meditation's usually the non-negotiable one. So I try to get that in for however long I can. And that usually sets me up to feel calm and ready for the day. If I can, I also like to stretch and do a little restorative yoga too.
I heard someone say in a podcast a little while ago, I think it was Marianne Williamson, I'm not 100% sure, but she was like, when you meditate in the morning, it really helps you. It may help you, you might not be totally calm for the day, but it gets you out of trouble. Like you might not hit send on that email. You might not send that text.
It's like a pause.
It'll allow you to pause. You're more likely to succeed
it's true.
if you meditate. You still might not be perfect.
Yeah.
And most likely, we're not perfect. And I love letting go of that perfectionism. I love to say I'm a recovering perfectionist because we're so hard on ourselves. And I think yoga and mindfulness and breathing and meditation all allow us to just be.
Yeah.
And be kind and loving towards ourselves first, and then it's easier to be. For everybody else.
For sure. Yeah.
Do you want to do a little alternate nostril breathing?
Oh, sure. We can do alternate. Okay. So.
You want to do a lot of this at home?
So it starts, you can take a mudra with your left hand if you want. Just index finger and thumb together, and then you put that on your thigh. And then you're using your thumb and your ring finger. So you take the thumb to your right nostril, and you breathe, and you should probably close your eyes for this one. You breathe out your left nostril, and then you breathe in your left nostril, close it off with your ring finger, and breathe out your right, and then in through your right, close it off with the thumb, out through the left, in through the left, close it off, out through the right, in through the right, close it, out through the left. And you just keep going like that. And you can do it on your own if you'd like. You keep going like that until, I usually do it till I feel calmer. And then you end by breathing out the left. And then you can kind of bring your hands down to your legs and breathe naturally for a little bit. That's usually when I go into my meditation, is after I do that. But you can see, even in this small period of time. Even just those few breaths
that we did. And it is such a great portal to get into your meditation. Because it gives you, first it's a habit, it gets you into that, it helps to rewire the brain. And it's always funny, I'm so fascinated by this. I think our bodies are just magical. They're just wonderful vessels, and they're just so amazing how they work, just intuitively. But you might have noticed if you did that breathing that one side was more blocked than the other, and it actually the other side will open up. even just after a couple breaths. And
Yes.
sometimes there's a little whistling going. You might have heard us
Yeah.
on our microphone, a little whistling or a little, like one side sounded
You might want to grab a
stuffier.
tissue before you do it.
Usually we do. Like if
Yeah.
we teach this in
Yeah.
the studio, we always pass out tissues before. And whenever I do, people are like, are you going to make me cry? And I'm like, well, it's okay if you do cry because we're moving.
Maybe, but
It's not my intention.
Yeah.
And no, it's if you need a tissue, then it's there for you.
yeah. No, yeah, it's definitely good to have that. And
But I even just feel like clearer. I feel more calm, but I also feel like I can breathe clearer through
Yes.
both sides right now, even
Yeah.
just after
And it
like
just-
4 rounds.
yeah, it just brings your focus to your breath too, which is good for meditation because you
Right.
kind of want to focus on your breath when you're meditating as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a good way to really, because you have no choice if you're doing that with your
You have to.
nostrils.
It's a really confusing thing to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been doing it for years, so like I can follow along.
Yeah.
But if you're just starting on it and it's frustrating, like, what are we doing? You're gonna switch when you exhale. Just remember
Right.
that.
Switch
Just
when you exhale,
alternate.
and you're using the ring and thumb, but you can use whatever.
You could
finger.
actually just do.
Yeah, you can do.
It
one or
doesn't
the- yeah,
matter.
it doesn't
It'll
matter.
come over time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's another one of your favorite breathing techniques?
Well, I love 4 square breath. I mentioned that before, where you breathe in for a slow count of 4 and out for a slow count of 4, or you can change it. A lot of times I'll do 3 and 6, as long as the exhale is the same or longer than the inhale, because the exhale taps into your parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic is what we call fight or flight, or,
Right.
and then the parasympathetic is the opposite. It's rest and digest. So you're supposed to be tapping into your parasympathetic when you're exhaling.
Right.
So
It's really interesting because when we inhale, it stimulates our sympathetic nervous system and our heart rate speeds up a little.
Yeah.
Every breath.
Yeah.
And when we exhale, this parasympathetic nervous system is stimulated and our heart rate actually slows down.
Yeah.
Every single breath. It's so cool.
That's cool. Yeah. So if you can imagine, if you slow it down even further,
Yeah.
you breathe in for say 3 and out for 6 or 5, whatever you want to do. And that's a really good breathing exercise if you're feeling panicky or anxious. Because it's easy to remember.
And you can do it anywhere.
Yes.
You don't
and
have to
can
worry
do-
about people watching. with
Nobody's
your
like
hand on
watching
your
you do it. Yeah.
face.
And no one's going to know you're doing it. You're not breathing. You're not counting out loud. You're counting in your head. And it's really taps in, like I said, to that parasympathetic nervous system and calms your body down. And it's a good way to focus your mind on counting rather than whatever it is you might be worrying
Right.
about.
Like you can't think of two things that, like we
No.
say we don't multitask really.
Right.
Which I think about that differently. I can't multi-focus for sure. I
Right.
can multitask.
Yeah.
But I'm not focused on anything but one of those tasks.
Right.
that
One
I'm
of
doing.
One of the tasks will get most of your attention.
It will
and
get all
rest
the
of them
attention.
will-
If you
Right.
really focus on one thing. You
Yeah.
can multitask, but you can't be efficient
Right.
if you're multitasking too much.
Yeah.
And when you're counting, it's almost impossible to start thinking.
Yeah.
Although I do find like if I get into a routine, I start to like just do it, and
You
then
can, yeah.
and then I wander away.
Your mind can still wander a little.
Right.
But in a situation where you're really feeling
And then
stressed,
you notice it though,
it does help.
and then
yeah.
you come back to it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's the tool.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it's the same with meditation. You notice that your mind is wandering. You take the judgment out of it, because that's, as I always say, judgment's just another layer of thought.
Yeah.
So if you're judging yourself for thinking, there's more thought. So if you take the judgment out of it, you just notice like you're casually observing yourself.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking, oh, I'm not focusing on my breath or whatever it is.
Right.
I'm going to come back
Yeah.
and I'm going to go back to that again.
And every time you notice you've wandered off, you're present again.
Right.
So it's a great opportunity.
mindfulness.
It's
Yeah.
another
You're bringing
opportunity to
yourself
practice.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And then another breathing technique is the 3-part breath,
Yeah.
where you breathe in through your belly, then into your rib cage, then all the way up into your lungs. And with all of these, there's the option to hold it for a moment. But if that doesn't feel safe to you, or you don't like the way it feels to hold your breath, then you just breathe out from your lungs, rib cage, belly. And that's another great grounding breath.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like to teach people that lying down, because I think
Yes,
it's harder
yes,
to do
for
sitting
sure.
up, because you have to engage your belly to hold yourself up, and I
Yeah.
find people will breathe up here first.
Yeah.
But bringing that mindfulness, trying to breathe lower into the lungs.
Yeah. And you think
Yeah.
about it, you can, think about a balloon filling up, because you really
Yeah.
want your the 360, the whole thing to
Yeah.
fill up. So yeah, I think I always do it laying down too.
Yeah.
In my workshops, I'll have, when I have people lying on their backs, I'll go into the 3-part breath. And again, you're focusing on your breathing. So your mind is going to have trouble thinking about anything else.
Yeah. And that lower breathing too, it starts to activate your diaphragm. And the diaphragm is such an underutilized muscle for most people.
Yeah.
And that can actually be a really great relaxation tool too. The lower you breathe, it actually strums your vagus nerve and creates that sense of calm and peace. Plus you get more oxygen into your blood because the blood vessels down here. So so we only have a few moments left. This goes really fast.
That was fast.
I have a few rapid fire questions for you today. And I think you answered the first one already. So for today,
yes.
Hot power or restorative?
Well, I went to hot power today. So, and usually I do hot power in the mornings and restorative in the evenings if I'm going to do, or if I'm doing a home practice, it's almost always restorative. But today I did hot power in the morning.
And I think it's important to do both. You know?
I agree.
And to know when your body wants one or the other. So again, I think you answered this one too. Morning practice or evening practice, but I think you do both.
Well, I do. Yeah, I do mornings usually, especially if it's an active yoga class. I can't do that in the evening. But yeah, if I'm doing something calming, it'll be in the evening for sure. Yeah.
And I feel like you have some practice you do, whether it's a long practice or a short practice, something in the morning, something at night that you do to kind of bookend your day.
Yes.
To just give that beginning and end of your day that time just for you.
Yes, yeah.
Which I love that.
Yeah.
One grounding tool you use daily besides your alternate nostril breathing, because you already shared that.
Besides my, so I would say meditating, which I've already talked about too, and getting outside. I try to get outside once a day. I think those are the things that I do for grounding. Breathing techniques of any kind. So if I'm like out somewhere and I'm feeling stressed, I might do a 4 square breath or something like that too.
That's awesome. Yeah. And that is something you can do when you're driving, right? Like
if I'm in traffic.
Your eyes are open.
Yeah.
And actually it's really helpful in traffic sometimes.
Yeah, it is, yes.
Especially if you're sitting at a red light and you're late for something and you're like, oh my gosh, you just take a couple breaths and it's okay.
Yeah.
A mantra that you return to?
Well, I always, when someone says at the beginning of a practice, like a teacher says to come up with something, I usually say, I am joy in my head. So, or I am joyful. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But I am joyful, whatever it is. So, and I swear to you, if I do that at the beginning, even if I'm in the worst mood, I leave the class feeling at least 5% happier and more joyful. So, and then it also reminds me to find the joy in the practice. Because if you do yoga a lot, you kind of get into a routine of it and you might not, think about that. Right. But I will find the joy and maybe try different things if I do that at the beginning. Yeah.
I love that.
Sorry, that's not rapid fire. That was a long answer.
No, that was fabulous. And then do you have any words of wisdom for the audience? Something you'd like them to carry away? I think, anxiety lives in the body. So if you can do something every day to calm your body, that will calm your mind. I think if you focus on calming your mind, that can get a little daunting. So if you can just do something, whether it's meditation, breathing, walking, yoga, doing something on purpose.
Anything,
that you're
journaling, anything where you can calm yourself and take a moment and not have any pressure on you to do anything specific. Any of the tools I talked about today, I think any of those could help you just feel a little bit calmer. And we all have a little bit of stress and anxiety, every day. So if you can start your day with it, even better, because then you'll feel calm for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Or calmer.
Or you'll have a better starting point, and then you might have to come back to it.
You'll start with a calm baseline.
And then you might have to come back to it. Yeah. But I just love the idea of making it a daily practice, something simple and easy that's not daunting.
It doesn't have to be anything crazy or long.
Yeah, and it becomes a practice so that when you do have a bigger trigger or you do have a bigger stressor, that you're not scrambling and trying to figure out the tools. Like I love creating a giant toolbox and not having to scramble around. It's an organized toolbox instead of scrambling. Look, where's the screwdriver? It's all there for you.
Yeah.
So
and we talked about trying things when you're not feeling stressed, when you're feeling calmer, practicing maybe meditating when you're feeling really good and calm. for a minute or so and just seeing how it feels, or breathing when you feel that way. And then you'll remember to do it when you're in a situation where maybe you're not feeling as calm or as you know,
centered.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I loved having you.
Yeah, thank you.
For
this
coming.
Is really fun.
It is really fun, and it goes really fast. And Caitlin is just a wealth of knowledge, and she's a phenomenal teacher. She does have a trauma-informed yoga workshop coming up at the end of March, and I think it's March 28th at 1 p.m., right?
Yes.
Saturday.
At Zen and Now.
At Zen and Now. No experience required. She's really a loving teacher, and it's a safe space. And no matter what kind of trauma it is, you know, big T, little T trauma, yoga is such a beautiful tool. No experience necessary.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I love being one of her students. I love
she comes to all my workshops.
It's awesome. I do. I come to everyone. It's wonderful. So, you know, we all can use these tools, and I hope that you learned something today that makes you feel a little calmer, a little brighter on these gray days, and that you have a wonderful week. Be well. Thank you for joining me on Be Well. I hope today's conversation inspires at least one simple way for you to support yourself. Before you step back into your day, pause and choose one uplifting action you can gift yourself. What's your one thing going to be? Remember, small, consistent steps create meaningful change. Until next time, take a breath, take care, and be well.